To of Humanity podcast. You can call me D, and I'm joined by the founder, the creator of this amazing group. Again, Oneness of Humanity, joined by Uncle Dave. And just a little short bio on Uncle Dave. Again, from my standpoint, he's a really amazing human being. But he is the father of three, grandpa to 10. Holy moly. Lung and colon cancer survivor, survived heart attack, and recently overcame I'm not even going to say that one, but he's an amazing human being. He's a builder and always wanted to be an architect, an amazing human being who loves people, loves helping them to really raise their spirits. And again, that's what we're all about here at the Oneness of Humanity podcast. We just want to help raise your spirit. And Uncle Dave here strives to be a better, to help you to be a better you, and to share his passions and creativity through project designs and building. He is also a very passionate individual about spirituality and the motivation to rebuilding people and businesses. And holy, it just goes on here. There's so much to mention. All I got to tell you is that he's an amazing human being. Uncle Dave, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Dee.
So, what's going through my mind right now is the Oneness of Humanity. Why that name? What inspired you to start the group? And where are you going? What are you doing? What is the group for?
Well, I think the group is essentially to just raise our level of existence, get rid of the fear factor that we've all obtained over the last 2 years. That was supposed to be 2 weeks. That went a little bit longer than was supposed to. And I connect with a lot of people throughout the day, and a lot of them just seem like they're having troubled times right now, and they need a way to bring about some good news.
So what do you guys do in this group? Do you get together? Do you I'm sure people out there want to know, what do you guys do when you get together? What do you talk about? Life right now is kind of crazy for a lot of people. We're going through a lot. These are stressful times with, everything that the government's trying to do and all. And I don't feel that oneness of humanity. So I'm really curious, as I am our listeners here, talk to us and tell us about the oneness of humanity. What's the goal with that?
Well, the goal is to bring us back to the way we used to be. We were all together. We had since become separated in many ways. So we've been hosting in our home, small group of people, and the small group of 8 grew all of a sudden to 35. And now we have on our website, we're over 70 members and growing. And we've had connection from people as far away as Connecticut and Edmonton. And they're asking about the things that we're doing. And what we're doing is we're creating a good energy in the group that we have. And a lot of I would call them health healers.
And that's just it, right? The world right now needs healing. We all need healing. So the group was started from this passion that you have, like your bio said, to really helping people to grow and to uplift spirits. Yeah. For me, I love helping people. But there comes a time, as you know, when we also need to be lifted up.
Yeah.
Does the group help you to feel lifted? And where do you get your energy from?
I get my energy from the excitement I can see when people enter our home and they come and they're not quite sure what to expect. And when they leave, they thank us at the door, and they don't want to go home. I mean, they want to be part of whatever it is that we're doing, and it is something quite magical. And want to take whatever formula we have and share it with the rest of humanity. Therefore, oneness of humanity.
Nice. So I feel that, you know, that again, this is a timely group, and if you were here, you would see that the muscle man just took his shirt off. That's JJ, but kind of distracting me here. But
When do we get to crack the champagne, D?
well, you know, I am definitely waiting to pop that thing. You feel free to go ahead and pop it whenever you're ready.
Okay.
But back to you, Uncle Dave.
Yeah.
So I've been to a couple meetings, and I know you have doctors in the group, you have healers in the group, you have financial gurus in the group. Like, who else do you have a part of this group? And like, do you have a strategy? And going forward, it seems like all these people in the group play a really important role, especially when it comes time to stepping up and really sharing their individual talents.
That's right. Yeah. You know, for me, I think it's to raise their motivation. People don't find much to go forward with. It's bad news each day. You turn the television on and there's something else to take you down. And we just try and bring out the goodness that happens each day. So when something seems like it's bad, you know that there's the flip side to that. And we try and bring out the good in what's happening. And a lot of people, week to week, I'll ask them as they left the meeting, you know, did you get anything out of it? And they'll tell us, you know, thank you so much for hosting. You open up your home to us. And we were really encouraged and had a powerful week. If it's changing the mind of some of their coworkers or bringing them just some glimmer of hope. And I think it starts one at a time. And one at a time we'll change this thing.
Yeah, that, you know, and I feel that like-minded people having a place where we can come together and, you know, share our views and our talents and our knowledge, and not only to create a better future, but also to think about what we can do now so there's not too much damage that's done to us for the future.
Right.
Because right now we're losing our freedom rapidly, and the more people that are just willingly just giving in to what's going on right now.
Well, we try and inform them at every opportunity, because whatever's being pumped out on the television to you and various other news outlets, as I said, there's another story going on, and we all know that. And it doesn't have too much to do with whatever showed up 2 years ago.
Right.
It has more to do with the changes that have been needed in our world for a long time. That has to do a lot with finances. There's an issue with kids going missing that nobody seems to want to bring up. We've still never found out what's going on in Kamloops.
Yes.
That just got brushed under the rug, and nobody wants to bring it back up, and that's not fair to the people that are involved in that.
Now, is your group tackling that, or
Yes, we
even
are.
talking about that?
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Bringing that back to the forefront, because you're right. It came to light. They said something about it, and then now it's gone, as if though it never happened.
Yeah.
So,
we have various groups of people that are behind the scenes doing things, and we're doing our own reporting, and we're doing our own questioning. And, you know, we have various Indigenous leaders throughout the country, really, that we're speaking with. And eventually the story will come out.
Awesome. Well, you know, I just want to say thank you again for sharing this amazing group, and for opening up your home, and also for like really being a leader in the community. To it's really awesome to have someone in your life who's a connector, who brings the right people together to make things happen. And for me, Uncle Dave, you are that guy. So thank you for starting the group. Thank you for sharing with us your inspiration behind starting the group. And I really look forward to learning so much more from you and spending more time with you.
Thank you, D.
Awesome.
I feel the same. And I would just say that the people that enter our home, many of them you're already connected with. A lot of them are just perfect strangers. And instantly we have a fantastic bond.
Awesome. Beauty. Let's hear what that sounds like. It sounded at the end, it sounded like you was like you got a little British there. And already we have an awesome bond. All right, let's see what she said.
Oh, we're still recording over here.
It's good. This is the outtakes you put
Why
on.
wasn't it?
I don't know why I stopped that. I could just delete it. Here we go. Hey, and welcome to the Oneness of Humanity.
Who founded that name?
Hey, and welcome to the Oneness of Humanity podcast. Again, I am your host, D, and I am joined by a very special guest. My wife is always counting the numbers. She's a numbers girl. And for years, I fought it. I just want to do yoga. I just want to teach this and do that and make the money. I don't want to count the money. And now I'm realizing the importance of counting the money. My next guest is an honors degree finance graduate, third generation of his family in finance, 21 years of experience in finance. And he has a passion for seeking out the truth, learning every day and helping others learn the dynamics of finance, faith, and truth. He believes that we're living in biblical times and where we are all being tested. And he's ready to share a very bright and exciting future for you and your finance. So my next guest, JJ, also feels as though that he has the ability or skill to make large, seemingly complex systems easily understandable. So I'm super excited to get him to share with you this amazing knowledge that he has. And I've heard him talk a few times, and let me tell you, I'm just in awe of the knowledge that he has coming from, someone who is really connected to our creator. And money is so important. And sometimes, we've been lied to. We've been told that money is the root of all evil. It is not. Our God is an opulent God. JJ, I can keep going on and on and on, but finances, I'm just getting familiar with it, learning to love it. Why don't you share a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. First of all, D, I got to say thank you very much for being here today and hosting this. And for everybody that is at home, spending some time listening to this, we appreciate your attention and your time. And we're going to do our best to make sure we enlighten your day, make you feel better. I just want to say that I'm, in my opinion, I'm just a regular, humble fella. I've been around finance and numbers and money my whole life in one way or another way. My family has had a big impression on me for where this goes. And I'm just a real big believer that if people want to feel empowered and control and hopeful, education gives you that power and that control. The more you know, the smarter decisions you can make. In the financial world, it is all designed to seem complicated and hard for us to understand. But the reality is, it's all very, very simple. 1 + 1 is 2, +1 is 3. And before you know it, we're adding up millions and trillions. So we happen to be living in the biggest financial experiment in human history. This is something I've basically been following my whole life. Probably the last 10 or 12 years, it's intensified. For me, it's funny because I hear oftentimes a lot of people, it's not so funny as much, but people are concerned about the future. They're worried. We've got a healthcare crisis going on. And I believe that my life has never been better and our future has never, ever been more hopeful. And I believe if you understand what's coming, then you can prepare. And in that preparedness, you get confident, and you can even get to a point where you realize that this is really exciting and it's truly a blessing to be here. I believe that by the grace of God, that we're all alive to see something really incredible happen on the earth. And God speaks to me through numbers. It took me a while to figure out what that means, but I know it to be true now. And it's an exciting ride. And I just look forward to sharing some insight, teaching people some things, and having other people get to a place where they, to a degree, know what I know, have seen what I've seen, and they can be excited as I am about what's coming, because I don't think there's ever been a better time ever to walk this earth. I truly do.
So, like, what can a guy do, or what can a person do at this time to help to really tap into the opulence of God? Because, a lot of us are whether we're apprehensive on investing, or, a lot of us are paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
those people who.
That's by design. That didn't happen by chance, by the way.
Right. So what does a person do to help secure or have a more secure future? Like, what can a person do?
Well, the first thing I have to say is that everybody has to realize that we're living in a war right now. I believe wholeheartedly that we are living in World War III.
Absolutely.
A lot of people believe that we're living in a pandemic and there's a healthcare crisis, but I've been talking to my clients for 10 or 11 years about where the numbers are going. I couldn't have anticipated a pandemic, but the numbers and things that are happening on a global scale financially are completely unsustainable, and pressure causes things to happen. So there's lots a person can do. There's lots of little things to do. And what's so wonderful about right now is that in finance, for every loser, there's a winner, and for every winner, there's a loser. Wealth just doesn't disappear, it gets transferred from one person to another. So it makes me think of a saying, when the stock market is rising, you refer to that as a bull market, like a male cow, a bull market. And a bull market is characterized by a long, slow uptrend in growth. And the phrase with bull markets is that millionaires are made in bull markets. Everyone's participating, everybody's making money. But a lot of things that people are scared of is a stock market crash. A stock market crash oftentimes is referred to as a bear market. And a bear market has got the characteristics of a dramatic fall down in a short period of time. And the phrase with a bear market is, billionaires are made in bear markets. Millionaires are made in bulls, and billionaires are made in bears. And what that means is, in a bear market, there's lots of losers and small little winners. So the fact that we're living in the biggest financial experiment in human history bodes well for the common person, because if you put your ducks in the right order, you stand to have disproportionate gains. And that's, for me, is what's really exciting, because if you are proactive with your money, if you make small, smart decisions, there are disproportionate gains to be made.
Now, why don't we, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
But why don't you break that down into layman's terms for the guy
Take it out of
who's
the
out there?
textbook?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
sure.
Who's out there like.
Okay, I'll make it really simple. Like it's if I was teaching kindergarten, I would like to teach children, where does money come from? We all deal with money every day. There's a lot of more people in this world that have a lot more money than me. And I ask people every day, where does money come from? And it's kind of surprising, but not surprising, that basically nobody knows. And again, that's by design. We're not supposed to know where money comes from. We're supposed to believe it's complex and hard to figure out. But the fact of the matter is that the world lives on what's called, or works on, a central bank banking system. What that simply means is every sovereign nation, every independent country that has its own military has what's called a central bank. A central bank is an institution that is separate from your government. So it's not run by elected officials, it's run by appointed people. Now, a central bank in a country has a dual purpose. They're there to control interest rates or influence interest rates, and they're there to control the supply of currency. Or in other words, where is money born in Canada? It's born at the Bank of Canada. The Bank of Canada hits keys on a computer, it invents currency, And then they take that currency, that cash, and they'll lend it to the government or they'll lend it to other banks. So we live in a world right now where all central banks on the earth in tandem are all creating currency at a level that has never, ever happened before. If I take you back a little bit, in 2007, some people might remember we had a coast-to-coast real estate collapse in the United States.
Yes.
Ironically, the head of the central bank in the United States, 6 months within that collapse, said we have never had a coast-to-coast drop in real estate in America, and we never will. And in 6 months, they did. So what happened in 2007, at that time, George Bush, #2, was the president at the time, and he came out and said, listen, I'm an oil man, and it's not the business of the government to get into the private affairs of companies. But if we don't do some stuff, every bank in the world is going to go bankrupt. So we're going to do some stuff, and we're going to solve this problem. So what do some stuff meant was the US Federal Reserve, which is the central bank in the United States, the biggest, strongest central bank in the world, working in the biggest economy in the world, said we're going to create $1.3 trillion. That's trillion with a T, the largest amount of currency ever created in human history. And they created that overnight. Nowadays, very small amounts is actual paper printed with ink making dollar bills. It's all digital money created on computers. Now, what the government didn't say is the Federal Reserve is creating $1.3 trillion and lending it to us. We're borrowing it all. The way that they say it is that we're making an investment in the US government. We're buying US government bonds. We'll talk about that another day. So they create $1.3 trillion. They basically borrow from Grandpa $1.3 trillion, and Grandpa will never say no and give you everything that you want. In the first 100 years of existence of the US Federal Reserve, they created about 800 billion. So overnight, they go from 800 billion to over 2 trillion. They double the amount of currency they created overnight. Now, at that time, everybody was so worried about real estate and the stock market collapse that they said, absolutely, we'll take that. It's an emergency or it's a panic. This will solve the problem. And it should have been enough money to solve all of our problems. Well, the following 13, 14 years after that, they continue to print money to the tune of 4.3 trillion. So when we add it all up, we go from 800 billion to 4.3 trillion. Simple math says we multiply the supply of currency by 3 or 4-fold in a 13, 14 month period. Well, if you have an unlimited line of credit and infinite ability to create currency, D, when would you stop buying Ferraris? When would you say, I've got enough, I'm going to not do this? Well, you'll only do that when the Ferrari dealership will not accept your currency any longer. And they say, I don't want this money, I want something else. So what happens when governments have the ability to print currency, which they've done thousands and thousands of times, and thousands of currencies have gone to zero and became worth nothing. The most famous example would be in the Weimar Republic in Germany, where they hyperinflated the currency away, but it's happened in Mexico. It's actually happened in the United States before. Abraham Lincoln's currency was called the Continental. The only thing anyone remembers about the Continental is the phrase not worth a Continental, because they printed the currency so much to pay for the Civil War efforts that the Continental became valueless, and we don't walk around with Continentals in our pockets now.
Right.
So what happens is they print basically $4.5 trillion out of nothing. Stock market rises, things seem to be okay. And then all of a sudden we have a healthcare crisis. We have a global pandemic. Well, when you can print money and the economy needs help, it's like the economy is a nail and printing money is a hammer. And the answer is always just to hit that nail more and more, or with a bigger and bigger hammer. So what's really interesting is from 07 till just before COVID, we print $4.5 trillion. And since COVID, in the last 18, 19 months, we've printed another 4 or 5 trillion on top of that. The US Federal Reserve has created $10 trillion since 2007. So that's what we refer to as exponential growth. Exponential growth is not sustainable. It leads to a big breakup. Now, as we talk, perhaps other nights, maybe not tonight, depends on how much time we have, I can explain how this has been, a 100-year ride, a 40-year ride. This is building to a crescendo. But effectively, the other thing, and why I say that we are living the biggest financial experiment in human history, is because every other central bank is doing this. So the bottom line is when governments are creating currency, we have inflation, or what people perceive as being inflation. And people think inflation is a rise in prices, and that's wrong. Inflation is defined by as an increase in the supply of currency. There is more money out there sloshing around. Therefore, prices are higher. We're watering down the purchasing power. It's not that pens are more valuable. It's that the amount of money that you have, the money isn't as valuable. So it takes more money to buy those pens. So when you're in circumstances like this, what a lot of people are experiencing is gas prices are going up 2 by 4. So right now we're seeing about food. It's going to get a lot worse. But what is nice is we know the game plan. We know where this goes. History is on our side. So how you protect yourself is you own things that are limited in quantity. Gold and silver, investment grade gold and silver that you purchase, physical precious metals that you purchase with cash that you take out of the system. So you don't buy gold and silver and hold in your safety deposit box. You don't hold necessarily gold in your mutual funds. You literally take cash from your bank account and you buy gold and silver coins that are 4 nines in quantity, standard shapes, sizes. And the reason why you do that is when governments hyperinflate money, things that are limited in quantity go up in value. Gold and silver have been money for 5,000 years. They'll be money in 5,000 years. Governments to today even hold gold as a reserve asset. Those are the guys that are printing this currency, but they hold gold as plan B. So we're fortunate enough, we're going to live through a currency reset. We're going to go back to a situation where paper money is connected to physical gold like it was back in 1971. So to answer your simple question, what any person can do is they can go and buy themselves a little bit of physical gold once a week, once a month, and build a little bit of position. Because although we're in the biggest financial experiment in human history, that means we have the greatest investment opportunity in front of us. Investing in physical precious metals today is the greatest investment in human history because gold and silver are money and everything else is debt.
Everything else is
A
debt.
fellow by the name of J.P. Morgan made that statement. Gold and silver is money, everything else is debt.
So if there was one advice that you can share with our audience today. What would that be?
Say that again. One advice for what?
Yeah, if there was one advice that you could share with people right now who are looking to secure their future, want to take whatever credit they have or whatever money that they have and make that paper money more secure, considering we're going into this financial reset. One advice.
See, I'm in finance. I can't give any simple answers.
Oh,
so I have two
okay.
simple answers for one
Let's
simple
get
question.
2 simple answers then.
First thing is this is much bigger than money. This is much bigger than healthcare. The first thing I
Yes.
would say is that it has to come back to God. If you have faith in your heart and you have no fear except for the fear of God, faith in your immune system, you don't worry about money. You don't worry about disease. You don't worry about germs and all that sort of stuff. So with that grounding, I would say the simplest thing is remember that cash in your bank account is not your cash in your bank account. When you deposit money into your bank account, all that fine print on your bank account says you have lent money to the bank. The money in your checking account is not your money. That is the bank's money that you have lent to them that they can use for their things. We have law in Canada, which refers to systemically important financial institutions, which means big banks. And if they have trouble, they can confiscate your wealth. So the first little simple thing is if you have any cash in your bank account, in theory, you should remove some of the cash in your bank account. You should think of holding gold and silver coins as a more stable, liquid place to park your money. Now, if you don't have a lot of money, maybe buy a couple of gold or silver coins, you hold them for a couple of months, and then you have to cash them out to go buy something. But somewhere along the line in the not too distant future, that gold and silver is going to act like an insurance policy when everything resets. And there will be an opportunity for you to have an increase in your wealth. Now, that's for people who don't have much. If you don't have much, what do? You have to act like a survivor. Like I mentioned before, we can talk about again, we're in a war. In a war, you have to survive first, and then you seek victory number 2. So what does winning mean? Well, everyone should have a little bit of cash at home in case the Interact system goes down, the Wi-Fi, you have a little bit of cash you can barter. You should have a little bit of gold and silver for long term. But what can we do? You can make sure you have a little bit of food at home, a little bit of water. We all need to learn that we should be building houses of bricks. Our government has done a very, very good job of teaching us that we should be relying on the government, relying on each other, building houses of straw. When a storm comes along and you're in a house of straw, everything falls apart. Yes. And you have to be concerned that when the fire brigade is the arsonist, when the government comes to you and says, oh, there's all these problems, but here's a handout for us to fix it. That's something you got to be concerned about. I've always believed, and I've always been raised to think of being a survivor. Build a house of brick. Build that house of brick so when the storm comes, you can weather that storm. And if you have extra, you can help your neighbor. So how do you build a house of brick? Well, number one, you get up in the morning, you make your bed. Make good habits. You make your bed because that gives you a little bit of feeling of accomplishment. It gets your blood going, and then you have a nice comfy place to come home to. Okay, simple as that. Make your bed. You're already going to be your first biggest fan. Then when it comes to your day-to-day job, deal with the toughest things you have to deal with first in your day. When I hit my desk, I have a list of things I need to do. The thing I want to avoid the most always happens first. More practically, have a little cash at home, have some gold and silver at home, have some water, have some food, learn what your neighbors feel and think about things. So if trouble happens, every single person, if they're really calling themselves a responsible adult, should be able to be at home for 10 days, 14 days without the hand of anybody else.
Yes.
If something comes, we hear about storms, tornadoes, all these things, and 2 days into it, it's chaos. People, come on now. This is modern times. We have all access to all these things. If you make your bed, if you plan a little bit for tomorrow, take a little bit today's time to plan for tomorrow. When tomorrow comes, it's not going to surprise you so much. It's not going to knock you off so much. So act like a survivor. There's steps that we can take when I talk about these basic things. For people who have larger amounts of money, obviously there's more sophisticated things that we take. But I think the first thing to say is have belief in God. Understand that this is a blessing to be alive today. We know where this is all going. We know what the plan should be, in my opinion. But you have to realize we are in a war, and you have to have expectations with that. They're fighting us with minds. We are in jails with the door wide open. And we are so polite to each other, we're not even going to invite our friends to come out of that jail. And all we have to do is move out of it. We, the people, have all the power. We're the 99%. But we have to all wake up. And that's what's so exciting for me, is because I'm watching people wake up. The phone calls I'm getting from clients, the queries I'm getting from people, things that I used to say 10 years ago. I could have told you, D, 10 years ago about the US Federal Reserve, and you said, who the hell are you talking about? There's no way. They make money out of that. You got to be kidding me. I can go to my child's kindergarten teacher and I can say, have you heard of the Federal Reserve? And she has. She doesn't know what it is, but she's heard it in the headlines. It's everywhere. So we've got the toothpaste out of the container. We can't put it back, and more is coming. But there are simple, practical steps that you can take to prepare for this.
That what you said there about being in the jail with the door wide open just really reminded me of the words of the late great Robert Nesta Marley. He said, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. And I feel that is where we are today. Mental slavery. And like you said, the door to the prison is wide open.
So that's what they fear the most, right? Is the truth.
The
Can't
truth.
run from the truth. And when the truth comes out, you can't stop it. And it's out. And I've been blessed by God to be here. There's a path in my life that's put me here. I mean, we're in this room, we're having this conversation. You've been in the rooms with the other people. It's magic, to have people come into this room, worried about their job, worried about their life, worrying about certain little things, and to sit with some strangers for 45 minutes to an hour and feel empowered and feel like they're in control. What everybody's got to realize is that it doesn't take a lot. Just spreading a little bit of truth, just holding on to your own true belief, trusting your instincts. That's all it's going to take for us to win this war. And if taking a step financially, organizing your finances, I mean, that's one thing that bonds all of us is money. It's the grease that we all have to connect. But by increasing your knowledge about how the system works, then you can be proactive. You're running blind down a hallway if you don't know anything. But if you have some light at the end of the tunnel, then you can have some direction. And when you have direction, it's empowering. So it's a very exciting time for me, because more than ever in my career, I see these light bulbs going on lots where people are realizing what I said is coming to fruition. So
absolutely. The other thing I wanted to touch on that made me smile was when you wake up, make your bed. That is something I've been teaching my kids ever since.
It's magic, man.
When they were little, and to see, whenever my daughter her and my wife go out on the road trip, my wife takes a picture and say, look at what you taught our daughter. Her bed is neatly made. And my son wakes up and his bed is made.
And another good one, I got an example of this one. I mean, I'm terrible for this, but keep your car clean.
Oh, dude.
Keep your car clean.
Absolutely.
I talk to people and their finances are a disaster, and things are happening, and they're stressed, and they're not in control, and they have these complaints. And I understand it. I do. I'm a human. And then I can just guess what the car looks like. And I can't see this. I can't see the seats. I can't see the floor. And I said, you know, you want to feel better about your finance? Go clean your car.
Clean your car.
See me tomorrow.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
talk tomorrow. These little things build you up. Life is about meeting little challenges. You meet these little challenges. Every time your palms sweat a little bit, every time you're a little bit unsure, that's the Lord telling you that this is the right step for you to take. That's a chance for you to build a little bit of character. So you can
Yes.
either break through those doors and you can build that character, or you can shy away from it. And regardless of what I believe anybody thinks, is if you break through those little doors and you build that little bit of character, then all of a sudden down the road, these big gigantic things, they come together easier. You know, my dad used to say that winners make conscious and subconscious decisions the right way. They make a habit of making decisions the right way. And people are struggling in life, and I don't want to call them losers because nobody's a loser. Everybody has a chance to turn around right now. But people who are struggling, you know, Uncle Dave talks about what's the word that we use? You have to not seek to achieve it. We talk about manifesting it,
Yeah.
different ways of manifesting it. People who are struggling are making the big decisions, the conscious decisions, as well as the subconscious decisions the wrong way. But when you train yourself, I wake up, I make my bed, I brush my teeth, I drink water, I have a healthy breakfast. I'm ready to meet the day the best way I can. When I come home, I got a lovely place to crawl inside and, you know, applaud myself. I've had a good day. And it's amazing how just make your bed, just keep your car clean, and then all of a sudden you've got success, and you know about finance, and you're talking about all these fancy things. It's a series of very small, simple steps, but the magic is you just got to go through these little steps one at a time. And maybe I can help, maybe our group can help, but to just nudge people along to let them know that it's very simple, but you got to be proactive.
I agree, and you know that is a great segue to me sharing the vow that I take every morning when I wake up as part of my meditation. It's called the Millionaires Bow, and I've been I got this from this gentleman named Brian Scott. He has a podcast called The Reality Revolution. If you haven't heard him, you need to check him out because he is on point, same page as we are. But anyway, the secret vow is, I now take the millionaire's vow for riches. I recognize that there are infinite treasures in the cosmic cornucopia of riches and abundance. I draw upon the unlimited resources of the universe for my own enrichment. I desire unlimited supplies of money and material goods so that I may use my riches to help my family and to give something of value to the world. I recognize that I am only a channel for the release of God's treasures, for the enrichment of the world. I therefore vow that I shall do only good with my future fortune. I take an oath that I shall use money to help uplift those who are downtrodden, to liberate those imprisoned by poverty, to idealize the standards of the world, to strive to help children, the sick, the poor, the imprisoned, the blind, and the handicapped, so they may know greater joy. I shall use my money and earthly treasures to educate, inspire, and uplift humanity, to help bring peace to the world, to banish discrimination and racial prejudice, to bring about equality for all, and to use my supply and abundance for the good of humanity and the greater glory of God.
How could you not say that in the morning and not feel accomplished after saying all
Right?
that? Oh my gosh.
Right? How could you not want to clean your vehicle?
Right.
You know, if you haven't made your bed, how could you not want to clean your bed? You know, JJ, I'm so grateful to have met you.
For sure. Man.
Thank you for being here and sharing your knowledge and your passion for finance. I mean, dude, you're my new best friend, just so you know. Is there anything that you want to close with?
Well, I want to pop a bottle of champagne here. I brought a bottle of champagne because for the people that are listening, this is our first podcast, so we're stumbling our way through, but we're going to figure it out okay here.
Yes, indeed.
You know, what I would simply do is I'd like to encourage people to continue to listen to this. There's a lot to say. Have I got something to finish off? I got about a million things I could say to finish this off. But people got to understand we're living in godly times. We are all being challenged by the big man upstairs. And that's what's so wonderful, because his challenge is easy to meet. We're being tested, and the test is easy. Love your family, love your neighbor, live a holy life, have no fear. And it's amazing how a lot of these problems seem to go away. So stay tuned because we have a lot more to say and we're going to be able to help you. We're going to make you feel better and you're going to be more successful because you're listening to our words.
Awesome. Yes, we do. And once again, I want to say thank you so much for joining us here on the Oneness of Humanity podcast.
Here we go.
Again, I'm your host, D.
Hey.
That's the pop of the champagne bottle. We're about to pop it in here. And again, JJ, thank you so much
Welcome.
for
Thanks
your
having me.
expertise and your knowledge. And we'll see you next time.